let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Silver Spring,
Okay.
Silver Spring, Maryland, and I grew up in Langley Park.
Okay.
Back then it was like Hyattsville, Langley Park, same thing. And I left here at an early age, so I moved out of my mom's house at like 15, and I went to Atlanta.
Okay.
So even though I'm from DC, the DC area,
Yeah.
put it like that, Atlanta is like my second home.
Oh, okay.
I went to school at Duke Ellington, so I spent my high school years in DC.
Okay.
Going to school every day. I would take the D bus and the bus to Fort Totten to get to DC every day. So oftentimes I'll say DC because I really do feel like a lot of my life is rooted in DC. Yeah.
Okay, so what made you want to move from the DMV to Atlanta around the age 15?
I didn't want to, but I used to be on this show called Teen Summit on BET.
Oh, okay.
I was on it for 4 years, and I had the show. It was this. I was in a singing group with this producer named Chucky Thompson. He had put these girls together. You know who Chucky Thompson is, and they were in college. They were all going to Morgan, and I was still in high school. And the show that day on BET was about music producers.
Okay.
So Dallas Austin, Puffy, Marley Marl, they were all there, right? And we had, I had asked the producer of the show that day if I could not be on the show because my girls from the singer group were in the audience, and we were determined that we were gonna sing for one of those producers and make it.
Oh, okay.
And so we did, and they let. I had a friend tell Dallas Austin he had a phone call in Studio B, and we sat in there on the Video Soul couch and we sang, and he was like, "I love y'all," and that's how I got my first record deal. I was 15. So I had to move. I had to move to Atlanta. So that's how that happened.
So the producer that you sang to was Dallas?
Yes.
Oh, he's great though. His catalog's like crazy.
Historic.
Yeah. So as far as your family ethnicity or family background, right? Like what is that like for you? Like
my dad is from the Ivory Coast. Okay. My mother's from Dayton, Ohio. So I grew up with, and my mother is a classically trained musician. Okay. My dad played the guitar. So both of my parents had musical backgrounds. And so yeah, I came up in a mixed environment. My parents split really early on. Okay. But, everybody knows that when you have an African parent, you have West African culture in you. Okay. Yeah. Every day it's not going anywhere. And so yeah, I was, and not to mention, like, I really wanted to still have him in my life at that time. So he was his culture definitely influenced everything that I'm doing.
So you must be speaking French.
I want to write some songs in French. I want to sing some songs in French. Okay. I'm practicing so I could get more confident. Okay. I just listen to people and then I respond in English even though I understand.
Yeah, it's kind of complicated because I'm from West Africa.
Yeah.
I do speak French and it's not as easy as English is, but you can pick it up. Or you can if you practice. It'll take time, but eventually you can get it. Right? Yeah. So as far as your family dynamic, right? How did that influence you? With your parents not being together.
I think for me, the major thing to talk about is the only reason why I wanted to be a singer back then was because I felt like if my dad saw me become famous, he would come back. Oh, okay. So that is the only reason why at 15, at 16, at 18, I was determined to become a star. Okay. That's the only reason. So that's the major impact that it's had. And I think, we probably talk about it later, but that's one of the main reasons why there's been this huge break and gap in my career from back then until now is because, I didn't, his leaving influenced me completely different. And that energy, that is the energy I used when, as a kid to like jump into the music industry.
Oh, okay. So as far as like you said, the musical influence, like you said, both of your parents were involved with the music, right? Did anybody, like, are they still involved with the music, or it was something they were doing when you were, a little?
My dad just basically played guitar and partied all the time.
Oh,
okay. He doesn't play anymore. I try to make him play, but he won't. My mom is very much still involved in music, and she's a natural songwriter, and it's just she's amazing.
Oh, so who you are today is kind of like the 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 sum of both of your parents, basically.
Absolutely, I think that's everybody.
So music runs in your blood.
Music runs in my family. My granddad was very musical as well, and we have like a lot of songwriters, throughout my family. So, yeah, it's in me.
Okay, so any musical class you took during like I said high school?
I went to Duke Ellington School of Arts, so I grew up in that environment, which is like fame. It was like, when we went to school from 8:30 to 5:30 in the evening, so half the day was academics and the rest of the day was arts.
Okay.
So it was like you walk down the hallway of my school and it was quite frequently you see somebody with their leg up in the air, people in the hallway, practicing. It was like everything was music, know. So that's what I know. That's all I know. Okay. That's all it's ever gonna be for me.
Okay.
Is music, writing, arts, music. That's just what it is.
I mean, it's like most people kind of have that kind of issue though, because when we grow up, well, our parents most of the time, like West African, they will try to channel your energy towards like academic education, but that artistic part, it's always suppressed when you come to that environment. I kind of understand it now because how the way the environment is right there, but in the U.S., people tend to follow up on the artistic side a lot more than the academic education. So I kind of see the influence because here the entertainment business is bigger. I mean, it's growing up in Africa now, but back in the days, like it's more like the academic education, and then the entertainment is like very underrated. So when it comes to any college education, no.
Yes, I went to UDC.
Okay.
So my mother used to teach she used to work at UDC. She ran the international multicultural communication part. So all of the international students, my mom was like responsible for them coming into the country and studying.
Oh, okay.
So she ran that whole department. So I went to my brother and we could go to school for free. So I went to UDC.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So any musical or any art study? What was your major?
My major was psychology. Actually, I had a few different majors because I was trying to figure out what it was going to be. So I think at one point I majored in psychology. The next I majored in education. I tried so many things, but I learned in college that I have like some learning disabilities that made it difficult for me to study, and I wasn't. College was not necessarily for me.
Okay.
It wasn't. I think you have to be groomed in order to be well in college, and the fact that I left high school and the fact that I was sitting in elementary school and just writing songs in class all day, I was never groomed to be that academic and to study. And I just got lucky because my dad was not the typical African father. So first of all, he wasn't around, and second of all, he didn't have that. I didn't get that whip of academic. He was goofing off. He was at Kilimanjaro, like he was all over the place. So he was typical. He was more like an American dad. He wasn't like no African dad. So I didn't have to. Nobody was beating that into me.
Okay.
It was just music.